Hey guys, welcome to another Strong Fit Lean video. This is Aish and this is my YouTube channel. It has been a very slow week on the YouTube world only because a lot of the footage that I did for the deadlift video, which I am redoing today, was so gone to waste because you couldn't hear half of anything that I said.
One last thing that I totally forgot to talk about is listen. If you've got like bouncy aerobic shoes,
I therefore invested in a little mic, and I think now you can really hear me. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating, but then I did get over it, and I told myself that, you know what, you always have another chance, another day, and this is my other chance, and this is my other day, so let's go do this. This video is today meant for anybody who is curious about the deadlift. So if you've never ever deadlifted before, I'm going to start off with the basics, how you would probably start off when you're at the gym, how could you eventually get to a bar, and if you're already at the bar, what are those little techniques and tips that I can give you also that you can get stronger with your lifts. I never knew that I could get so strong with my deadlift, and I currently deadlift not really wearing a belt. I think a lot of this had to do with, of course, very slow, gradual increase in the weights on the bar. However, keeping in mind a couple of positional cues, technique cues that really helps me in terms of like lifting the weight off the bar. So really hope you guys like this video. I'm going to be doing this in a whole new gym facility. I'm so excited to test this out. Warehouse Gym in Dubai has opened up a gym in Khawaneej. I love how I say that like in Arab. Anyway, so I'm going to go there and I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to be filming the rest of this video over there, and hopefully this time you can hear me. Let's go, guys. Okay, so we're going to be deadlifting. Let's go, guys. Actually have my camera up at a weird angle. I don't know if this is going to be good, but here I am. It's Khawaneej. It's actually a really cool gym. It makes me feel like I'm on the inside of a step-up movie, or it's like a boxing ring. It's got that very like rugged bad boy vibe. I don't know. Lighting is perfect in the gym though. So you got like the free weights area here, You can see that that's kind of where they have all the squat racks over there in the corner. I think they do their HIIT classes there. All the equipment. I actually love the lighting in this gym. And I mean, look at the ceilings, and I mean the fact that we've got like these grills here. Let me show you a little bit more. Like these grills, you know, gives me like this feeling that it's like a caged environment. So I feel like I'm in like a underground gym, or I'm in like in a boxing ring, or I don't know, like as clean and as calming this environment is, it does have a rugged feeling to it as well. So yeah, beautiful. And if you actually walk down here, I love a gym that gives you like a nice mirror to take your selfies in. Totally. But yeah, you have all the treadmills here. Loving the way they've incorporated social distancing in this gym. It's so new that there are actually not enough people, so that's actually kind of perfect for filming. I was so nervous doing YouTube today on this because I felt like people might stare at me, but people probably did, but it didn't matter. There you go, cardio equipment. And I think the next time I come over here, guys, I'm going to film a workout in this room. Look at this little space. Warehouse has classes called Black Box. I think that's what this is for. But I'm gonna like totally like, it's so gangsta, so dark, and in the darkness, like somewhere there, a workout emerges. Yep, I am so doing this. Right. So I think all my deadlifts looked extra special today because of cool lighting. And I just finished my set, so I'm exhausted. My hips are on fire today. Deadlifts are majorly a hip movement. You're thrusting your hip. The hinging of the hip, therefore, is probably one of the most important moves in the deadlift. So if you look at the way I warm up for it, it's not like I run on a treadmill or do an elliptical or something. I don't do like 20 burpees, which is probably like how many people would warm up for their workouts, but rather we do a lot of hip openers, we do some inchworms, we do some squats, I do a couple of good mornings, something to just sort of like awaken the leg muscles, which is going to be a huge part of the upward drive that the movement requires. A lot of people love deadlifts, I think, because the moment you pick the weight up, it's like your glory moment, right? Like you've lifted something off the ground. So it is pretty epic. And I think today I outdid myself because I went beltless. Still don't have my belt. I've ordered for it. I just think with the whole COVID situation, it's just taking a bit of time to come in. So I don't know if this makes much of a difference, but you know what? We will know once we put it on like the big screen. Anyway, so let's come down to, I actually made a couple of notes to make sure that I go through it in the right sequence. So first of all, this video is for anybody who is trying to get to do the deadlift well. And I think if you do a deadlift technique-wise really well, it is so much easier to progress without any injury. And I feel like you even progress a lot faster because you're using the right muscles to sort of drive the weight. Your legs, essentially, all of us, our leg muscles are a lot more than our upper body. So if you're using your hips and your hamstrings and your glutes to like push up the bar, lift up the bar, it is a lot more effective than trying to use your lower back, which is kind of where a lot of people go towards when it comes to probably handling a weight that they cannot handle, or they are working with the wrong cues in mind. So even a lighter weight, you just find it a struggle to pick it up. So usually when you hit the technique right with the deadlift, you're able to progress well and without injury, which honestly for me as a heavy lifter, injury is a fear because the moment I do hurt myself, I cannot do what I like to do anymore, right? So it's so important for me to keep these cues in mind. So the first thing I do is I always warm up. A mobility drill, and I'm going to show you what I do usually. A little bit of hip flex, like hip flexor opening, some cat dogs, cat cows. I don't know. They're like a bunch of these mobility exercises. And I've already filmed that up. I'm going to put that in right now to show you what I do to get myself warmed up before a deadlift. And then I'm also a believer that for you to get warm up in a particular move, do the particular move. So then it then follows up with like gradually loading the bar from like empty to, I now start my warm up weight at 70 kilograms on the bar. This may not be for all of you, but if your biggest weight for the week is 135 kilograms, I would not start my warm up at 20. The only reason being because I don't want to fatigue myself. I don't want to get tired before my heaviest lift. Powerlifting is very different form of training compared to like regular bodybuilding workouts, I would guess, because we try to always attempt towards seeing whether we can hit bigger numbers. So we have smaller rep sets, but we have higher loads. So if you're a bodybuilder watching this, then this may not be the way you would progress with the bar. But I would say after you do your mobility and your stretch and your warm up, you can load a light bar and then you can do a couple of reps on an empty bar or with a light weight on the bar to just get yourself used to that actual movement of like hinging and thrusting. All right. Now, I would never go to the bar if I cannot lift at least, I would say about 6 to 8 kilogram dumbbells on either side and doing the dumbbell deadlift. So I'm going to show you in a bit what a dumbbell deadlift looks like. A dumbbell deadlift is very important for people, like if you're very new to the gym and you have never lifted before, the minimum empty bar that you get in the gyms is either 15 kilograms or it's 20 kilograms. So if you cannot carry 8 and 8 on either side and do a dumbbell deadlift, I really doubt you'll have the strength to pick up a 15 kilogram bar, right? An empty bar. So if you're new to the gym, and I would say first try that out. And once you can do about 10 reps confidently with 8 kilograms on either side, then you can get towards an empty bar and then you can practice what I'm going to show you today, all right? All right. So here I've got like two 10 kilogram dumbbells. I keep it to the side of my feet and keep my feet hip distance apart. And all I do is I just sit, grab the weight, look straight ahead, and then push the hip up. Get down, slide tap. So notice how all the other aspects of my body are very similar to what it would be if I was lifting the bar off the floor, right? So I'm keeping my back straight, I'm looking straight ahead, I am lifting up. The moment the dumbbells hit the knees, I'm driving up through the hips. Then I get down again. Let's try it again. So lift, 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 thrust the hips. So the moment you can comfortably do like, say 10 of these with either 8 or 10 kilogram dumbbells, then you've got like enough of strength to come and pick up the bar, and you also have a lot of the cue activation in your mind ready for you to actually effectively pick up the bar, because you're gonna feel that glory moment only when you do it right. So yeah, all right, try. Okay, so the first thing that's very important is how you position your feet. All right, now for me, I always position my feet hip distance wide. It could be different for different people. If you're into like powerlifting, it could go anywhere from narrower than hip all the way to like sumo stance. And it's just about where you find yourself most comfortable as a stance. In body pump, which is a class I teach, it is always hip width apart. The weights don't go too heavy in that class, so I think that's fair. But when you're going towards lifting heavy, I think all of us, depending on our height, depending upon our body makeup, and also just depending on personal preference, your feet positioning can go anywhere from like a little bit narrower to your hip all the way to a sumo stance. So I do mine very conventional, so it is literally hip distance apart. The second thing that you do is you need to figure out what shoes to wear. So if you can see in today's, oh my god, my hips are dead. In today's lift, I'm literally like barefoot. I left my lifting shoes at home today. I got my Metcons, and Metcons are bouncy, and I would never use a bouncy shoe for a deadlift, especially for a heavy deadlift. When I'm in a CrossFit class and it's not heavy, it's more like cardio, I don't care. But when I'm lifting really heavy, on my squats, on my deadlifts, I always make sure I'm either barefoot or I have my flat lifting shoes. Flat is good because you want to make sure you have more power or like more attachment to the floor, because you get a lot of your drive to lift from the floor. Even with a squat, you get a lot of drive from the floor to push yourself off the ground. So you want to make sure that you have either an ideal powerlifting shoe, and I think everybody has their own preference for this, so I'm just saying something that's flat, or you know, just go barefoot, it doesn't matter. I think when you're in a competition though, you need to have like a shoe, but I mean, if you're lifting in the gym, you could like go barefoot as well. I know so many people who do. I do it too. Today's lift, it was all barefoot for me. Okay, is you want to make sure that you're super stable before you start. So one of a recent cue that I learned that really helps a lot in terms of stabilizing my body and like sort of activating my hips really well is when I stand in front of the bar, I literally like, what's the word? You would sort of pivot in using your a heel. So you anchor the ground through your heel, and when you do that, you're able to sort of lock in your hips. Stability is so important because the moment you're stable, you have isolated the muscles that are going to work out, and that's going to help you push it a lot easier as well. I keep saying push, I mean push the ground, pull the bar, just so you know. All right. You want to always make sure a tight braced core. That's why the powerlifters do the whole thing, like the inhaling. I'm not covering inhaling today. This is not a powerlifting video, guys. This is a deadlift video. So it's just about making sure that your abs are completely braced in. So breathe in, suck in, hold in tight through your core, and your hips are activated, your abs are braced. And the last thing that's left to do, which I mean I will show it to you when I get to the bar, most of the time people like to drop their shoulders down, and that's because the bar is heavy and it's gravity that pulls your shoulders down. So what you want to do is you want to push the shoulders back and pull it towards the back of your body, and that kind of activates your lat muscles, and the lat muscles, which are pretty much here, so important for you to like lift it up as well. So you have to always think about when you stand in front of the bar is feet stance, grip on the floor, brace the core, pull my shoulders back. And as you lift the bar, if it's heavy, your shoulders are going to fall forward, so you keep thinking about pulling back and staying tight. The word is tight. The more tight you are, the more you are allowing yourself to feel the power to lift. The more you let go, the more you will not be able to lift up. There's a lot of science behind this. I really hope that makes sense to you. Finally, where do you look? I think when I started deadlifting, I would always look at my feet. And one of the things that I've talked about in terms of alignment of like your back and your body or whatever is to have a 45 degree, I'm not getting the word, the 45 degree gaze, or just look straight ahead. You don't want to tuck your chin in, you want to sort of, There are a couple of things that I tell myself before I start to lift. Most of the time I tell myself that I'm lifting something that's my warm-up weight, because I feel that anytime I go super heavy, a lot of it is in my brain that I cannot do it, but I can do it. So to break the mental barrier, I keep telling myself that, honey, it's just a pencil that you're picking up from the floor, or it's an empty bar, you got this. So I'd look at a 135 kilogram bar today and I kept telling myself, it's only 100, it's only 100. Because if I keep telling myself that it's too heavy, I feel that mind connection translates into your body, and then your hips just don't push you, like, it doesn't just work as much as you want it to. So always tell yourself that you got this and that it's manageable, all right? You also want to always think that you're tall, because what tends to happen when you stand in front of the bar is you tend to fall down, right? So you think you're a contracted person, but think tall, because you're trying to lift up and stand tall and be glorious, all right? So very important to think like I'm tall, I'm grounded, I'm strong, and I got this. The positivity will channel through in your performance, I guarantee you that. I'm going to go ahead and show this to you on video and how I manage my feet, blah, blah, blah. And what we're going to do after this is I'm going to talk to you about 3 common mistakes that people tend to do when they're deadlifting. And if you can film yourself and check yourself out and see how you can avoid this or correct this, then I'm really sure you're going to feel a huge difference in your deadlift. So let's go behind the bar and let's get some things done. Guys, I'm extremely sore. I finished all my lifting, so I've got my warm-up weight back on the bars. So I've got like a 70 kilogram bar here. I just didn't want to lift something that was next to nothing. So this is my bar. These marks really help. So this literally is my feet hip distance apart, all right? So I want to stand very close to the bar. In fact, when you're pulling the bar in, you want to make sure that it is literally touching your shins and it's that close. Now the rest of it is going to be camera away from me. Now let's try this angle and see if it works. Feet, so feet in line with the hips, all right? I'm going to make sure that the bar is touching just my shin. You could hold like a hook grip where you have both your hands forward facing, but I like to have a reverse grip where I have one this way and one this way, doesn't really matter. And you want to make sure that you push your hips behind and then you look straight ahead. Bracing my core, and I'm pulling my shoulders back. And I keep thinking about when I lift, use my legs, and then the moment the bar hits the knees, I push the hips in. Yeah, so we're thinking about being straight tall, legs, 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 and then the hips, and then I stand up straight. And then we drop back down. So everything is about that little hinge through your hip. If that makes sense. So we get in front of the bar, hold it, brace, breathe in, legs, 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 hips, and then down. Oh, that's pretty loud. Let's try it again. So think again, right? So you want to screw the legs in, drop the hips back, tight grip on the bar, pull the shoulders back, big breath in, legs, 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 and then the hips, all right? So let's do this. Try one more time, straight ahead. Pretty much. There are like some commonly sort of observed errors or some commonly asked questions. I don't use gloves, I just use liquid chalk, or you could use regular chalk, because I kind of feel that it gives me the best grip on the bar. Most of the time when I use gloves, I feel like things slip. So yes, it means you get raggedy hands and it's a mess all the time, but it's actually it's like a thing of pride for me now. I kind of feel like, yeah, man, I lift. That's why it's like this. The other thing that I tend to observe a lot is, and it's actually something I very recently corrected in my deadlift form, was I would always feel that the bar is too far away. All right, so I'm going to show you guys quickly what I mean by that. If you're pulling it from here, you tend to use your hips a lot later, and you tend to like use more of your back to pull it up because it's far away from you. But if it's closer, I have a feeling I'm gonna like, yeah. If it's closer, you definitely get all that hip. Is the moment the bar is far away from your body, you need to actually like use your back to bring it in. But if you actually like touch it to your shin and then pull it up through your legs, you use your legs more. I think that's kind of why a lot of people have the weird rounded back or the weird back lift when it comes to like a deadlift. I think it's because honestly the bar is just too far away from you. Don't feel afraid of like pulling it in and letting it hit your shin. That's totally fine, because that would actually secure the movement and leave it more to your legs.
Good one. Come on. Very nice. Lock it up.
Finally, the shoulder drop. Cannot stress enough on the fact that you need to always think about pulling your shoulders back, because you're fighting the gravity, and it's that fight against the gravity and the resistance which is kind of like making you stronger. So 3 things, right? Make sure that you are, your grips, the bar is close to you, and at the same time that you always keep pulling your shoulders back in. Yep. I really hope you find this YouTube video very useful. If you did, do hit the subscribe button. I've just started it, so the initial support is literally all the motivation that I can get from the world out there to keep this going. All right, so there is a nice little subscribe button down here. Just hit the subscribe button and you'll get more content from me. And in the meantime, let's go deadlift.